Hello, my fellow Americans. My name is Carl Lester Anthony Jr., and I'm running for your President of these United States for the year 2020, and hopefully beyond. So, I'm going to introduce you guys to my political affiliation just to start, as I put my hat in the ring. I am an independent, former Democrat of 20 plus years, almost 30 years. After I've grown and matured, I've become a little, disenchanted with both parties. In the process, I feel like they're almost two sides of the same coin. And we really need somebody that's in the middle that does what most of America wants. And most of America actually wants the same thing, whether conservative or liberal. It's just the small little idiosyncrasies that cause us to argue and fuss. And I feel like both parties perpetuate that between us. So I want to be the middle ground candidate and your first regular American guy candidate. You know, I'm a 40-hour-a-week worker, just like every average American. I went to college, I have student loans, I have friends, I have a life, anything you can imagine, just like the typical American, and we've never really had that in the modern era. Donald Trump, you know, he's as close as you get, and he's a regular guy, but he's a rich, regular guy, which doesn't make him so regular. But he's as close as you get. And when I saw that he could do it, I know I could do it. So that's why I put my hat in the ring for president in 2020. So I'm gonna give you a little bit about my biography. So I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm 43 years old. Born to a police officer father and an x-ray technician mother. Had two sisters. Grew up in a normal home in Philadelphia, middle class situation. Had friends of all types, all colors, and all races. As you know, Philadelphia is a majority, African-American city, extremely diverse. A lot of Latinos, mostly Puerto Ricans, a lot of Asians, and of course, my Caucasian brothers, along with Russians, Polish people, and a lot of other great people that live in my city. And it really helped diversify myself coming up as a youth. I matured later in life, went to Hampton University in Virginia, also went to Collins College in Tempe, Arizona to finish up my schooling, and Catherine Gibbs in Pennsylvania. I've acquired two degrees. I have an associate's in software technology, and I also have a bachelor's in arts and graphic design print media. So that's my educational background. From a personal perspective, like I said, I'm the average American, I'm the regular guy. Just like you, I want what you want. And I know we all want the same things when it comes together. Peace, comfort, healthcare, coverage, jobs. And I'm gonna go over all my different policies. As we go through this conversation, I'm gonna go over my domestic policy first, then my international policy second, then explain how that ties together with the plans I want and where I will get the money to do the lofty ideas I have. But also, of course, well-grounded. As an independent, I am fiscally responsible, socially liberal. And of course, depending on the situation, I'm very willing to waver because I want to do what's best for us, and I want to give the people what they want for what I would call the first time. In my life, never seen a president give the people truly what they want, and it's time. If Donald Trump can win, it's time. We get what we deserve because we know what we want and we know what we need. So, to go a bit further, as far as how you can vote for me and how that whole process is going to work. Since I've only initiated the process now, there's two situations with voting. So we're going to have a little lesson about voting and ballot measures and how all these things work. As far as voting goes, there's two situations with voting for people for president. You can be written in, or you can be officially on the ballot, which of course, you check the boxes, you choose the person. The write-in situation is interesting. Only in a few states do you not need any paperwork to write in. You just write it in. And then in other states, you have to fill out the work, which I'll do, and it's taken care of. So let's not worry about that. But there's only about 43 states where you can write me in. I'll give you a list of those at the end of this video. It'll be in the information section. It'll be on all my social media. A list of the states so you know which state you're in and if you can write me in as a vote. The other last 9 states, I believe it is, they do not allow write-ins. So those actually would require me to get signatures to be put on the ballot. Now we do have till next year to handle that. Piece of information just to let you know, did you know To get on all 50 states' ballots, you actually need 860,000 signatures and petitions. And they're basically in different numbers of each state, a certain percentage of the population, or a certain basic total. And some of the states you just pay for. So that's something I'll take care of as we get more into the donation situation, where I have more money available, where I have more time available, and I can actually get the signatures by building up a run as we start now. We have all the way to next year to get me actually paper written on a ballot. Beyond that, we'll go with the write-in situation. So that's how you can vote for me when the time comes, and you can do it. All right. So as far as the human presidential who I am aspect of this, you know, when people run for president, people are going to come out the woodworks. They're going to have their opinions, their advice. They're going to say you did this. They're going to say you did that. Now, to keep it simple, as mentioned, I am the average American. I'm a regular guy. I work hard. I play hard. I have long nights. I have stressful days. I have issues and happy days and poor days, and I get hurt, and I have arguments and love and everything else. I partied. I drank. I've been in no illegal trouble, so that's what's important. So let's make this clear. I don't care what anybody says about me. If it's not illegal and prosecutable, I did it. Bottom line, if it's not illegal or prosecutable and somebody's accusing me of something, I did it. Past that, anything else that I did is nothing that any other president that you have voted for and has actually won has admitted to doing. Beyond that, I'm a regular guy, no matter what others have said. Past that, I'm an angel. And that's the beautiful part about it. Carl Anthony for president, 2020. So let's get into the policy aspect of this whole situation. We'll start off with the domestic policy, where everything is going to begin. The first thing that I'm concerned about is the internet. We need an internet bill of rights. I mean, I don't know if anybody's noticed. You've seen it on the news. You've seen it on social media. Our children, other adults are actually killing themselves over some of the harassment and disrespect and abuse that they're getting. I see popular, famous people that get harassed nonstop. They can't do anything about it. They can't prosecute the abuser. People are putting out people's information and threatening their children and just flat out bullying them to a certain extent. And people getting robbed and people getting scammed, email scams and so forth and so on. And since it's state to state, and there's always state laws, it's very complicated to prosecute somebody or hold somebody accountable for what they do across those state lines. So I think we really need an internet bill of rights, so we have some standards to how you act on the internet. The internet is supposed to be free. It is freedom of speech. Do what you want. Say what you want. But you have to be responsible and accountable for what you say after that is done. And that's perfectly fine, and that's why we need an internet bill of rights. Next up is the big one. We all love it. We all want it. We all need it. Single-payer health care. You've heard this a million times from Bernie Sanders. You notice some of the other Democrats and stuff have picked it up. I don't think so many Republicans have picked it up, when in actuality, Obamacare was a Mitt Romney plan. So it's not too far from what they believe, but I don't know why they give you such a hard time. Single-payer health care is what we want. Single-payer health care is what we need. You know all the elements, you've heard all about it, you know everything about it. There's no need to discuss the idiosyncrasies of that particular situation. So, healthcare, single-payer healthcare. Now, one of the couple of elements I want to add to this situation is, yes, you want single-payer healthcare, but what do we have? We have Americans that have done very well. They got a lot going for them. They've done very great. And everything's looking really good, and they've maybe been very successful in America, and they have a little extra money around. Now, I want to have an independent option, so Americans who have worked hard and they got extra money to play with, shall we say, and they want to spend it on more intense or higher level health care, definitely. We should have an independent option where not only can you have single-payer healthcare, which you can go to any doctor you want, get any service you want, but maybe there's some gold star treatment, so we want to have an independent option for those people so they can then go ahead and have that available. Now, one of the big things I want to add to the single-payer healthcare coverage is something that I noticed recently. I don't know if you guys have noticed. A lot of our wonderful young American ladies are working hard. They're building careers. They're getting education. And they're out there putting in a lot of work to help build America. Just like, the men of old done, and since women's lib has come along, now the women are helping to build America. They're giving their lives for these companies. They're giving their lives for America also, beyond just being a lady, and being a mother and things of that nature. So, to accommodate women who are working hard and they put their heart and soul into the industry for America so our stock market can rise, so we can be productive as American, I want to add freezing eggs to my healthcare policy. That's right. I want women to be able, under single-payer healthcare, at no cost, to be able to freeze their eggs. So as they do go out there and work and build these great companies and hire people and do all these great things in America, they can still have an opportunity down the road to have children if they decide to do so later in life. And I think it'll take a lot of stress, a lot of pressure off our wonderful American women, and that's definitely something we want to add to our single-payer health care. So that's that. Next thing I want to talk about is wages. Now, the wage situation, we know we're always arguing about it, we're always talking about it. $15 an hour, that's what people want, that's what people need, that's what people deserve, and that's something I will also push for, is the $15 an hour situation. Now, people say, oh, well, you raise minimum wage, they're gonna make all the prices go up. What you don't realize is the people that raise those prices, they get great raises every year. They don't get the same 2-3% that the average American like me and you gets. They get 5%, they get 10%, they get bonuses. They have healthy wages, where my decision will be to actually cut down on things like CEO pay, cap CEO pay to a certain amount. You don't need to make $50, $100 million as a CEO. There's nothing you're doing that's important at a company. $5 million is enough. So one of those things I want to do to help with that situation is get the wages up, cap CEO and other level pays, and have it on a scale, and also increase lower level salaries to bring everybody more to a balance to close the economic wage gap that you see in America today. And that's something we really got to fix. Now, I have a small fact for you about minimum wage. Now, previous to the 70s, wages rose equally with economic prosperity in America. Our productivity and wages were simultaneous. Right around the 70s, they split. And ever since then, our productivity has continued as our wages have stagnated. We're pretty much making 1985 money on the lower levels of America, while higher level people are making almost futuristic money. And that's something I want you to be aware of, and I think it's perfectly fine for them to be rich, it's perfectly fine for them to be successful, but I think there's a certain amount of excess when it becomes endless money. And we could use some of that endless money for the rest of the people that are here living today. And because there's no reason that 80% of America should be check to check. We are almost all 2 to 4 weeks away from being on the street if we lose a job. So that's a big concern. Our country should not be like, we're almost under an economic slavery of sorts. When you figure that out, because you almost have to have no reason to, you can't leave a job if you don't have good health care, because you got health care from your job. So now you can't get a better job because you can't leave for the health care. We have to fix these things, and that's what I want to change with wage enhancement, change with added health care, and we also got some other great adjustments. Now, money. Talking about money, we talk about capping CEO pay, things like that. My tax plan. Now, my tax rate plan is going to be scaled up because I want to go back to the previous tax rates, previous to the Ronald Reagan, Jerry Ford era, where the taxes used to be way higher. We're not going to go back to the Woodrow Wilson era of 90s and 95%. That would be beautiful, but I think people will lose their mind. I think that's a little too much. So, my scale is from $0 to $100,000. It's going to be a 25% amount coverage for that. For $100,000 to $500,000, it's a 35% scale. For $500,000 to $1 million, it's only a 37% scale. From $1 million to $5 million is going to be a 40% scale. From $5 million to $10 million, it goes to a 65% scale. From $10 million to $100 million, 75% scale. And that's how we're going to do it and continue on from there. So that's the scale. That's how we're going to work it out for our America. Very exciting, right? It'll put money back into America, and I'll explain how that's going to affect other plans that I have. Where are we going to get the money? So it's not going to be just from tax raises. It's not going to be just from cutting CEO pay. There's going to be some other things I mentioned later that are going to help bring more money into America to do a big project that I'm working on. So, next on the list for me is drug reform. It's a big problem. We have the heroin issue going on right now, the opium issue right now that's going on. People are dying all over the place. And I really think we need to decriminalize drug use. Drug sales is an issue, but I think we need to decriminalize. I think we need to take control of it. I think we need to get some health centers up and get this issue completely under control, because all making everything super illegal does is help the cartels. It helps the drug dealers. We have to take the market from them and get control of it. We can make it be done safely. Just like some states have medical marijuana and legalized marijuana and the state is running it, we need to do that with a lot of other drugs. Now, I don't want every drug in the world to be made legal. Not going to happen. Basically, any drug that cannot be determined to have some sort of medicinal value will not be decriminalized. If meth has no medicinal value, we're not decriminalizing meth. If something called Gator, which is some kind of, so many terrible drugs I've heard about and know about. These type of things, no. We don't need to decriminalize these. But anything that has a natural medicinal value that can be used to improve human life, that's something that we want to get off Schedule 1. So then colleges and labs can study it, build from it, increase, and give us better stuff in America through that. And I really think that's going to heal a lot of the pain in America, get a lot of people out of jail, and give us a better chance to move forward as a mature place, understanding that, drug addiction is a sickness. It's not something that just people do to be mean or be dangerous. So we have to address it as a sickness and take care of it and take the market out of the criminals' hands. Get rid of the violence, get rid of the pain, and get it back into a situation we have control of as the government, and probably even make some money off of. I've seen with the recent marijuana stuff with the medical and the legalization, they're bringing up billions of tax dollars into states. So we can do that same thing with other drugs also that people are using, they will use, and there's no reason to lock them up, die, and have them fight and killing over it. Let's get them healthy. Let's get them better. So that's one of the things. We want to decriminalize drugs that have medicinal value. Next up on the list for me is border control. Now, border control, it's not much to do. We want to keep it pretty much the same. Keep the money in so the agents have the money they need. Two things that I want to focus on with border control. One of those is we need to revamp ICE. I've seen a lot of bad stories about ICE, a lot of questionable things. They're reaching almost an FBI kind of level where they're doing things that are hurting people. And I think we need to reevaluate that and make sure they don't have a little more power than they need. On the same hand, with the border control, my perspective, this wall thing's absurd. We don't need a wall. What we need is drones. What we need is technology. What we need is a digital wall. If people are crossing illegally, there's no reason a drone can't pick it up, sensor them, mark them, and we go pick them up. It's really simple. Drones have heat sensors. These people can't cover their heat. We keep them out there. These drones can fly around all day. They can alert the agents to where they are. They can go pick the people up. Very simple, very easy. Technological wall, not a physical wall. This is not Germany. Mr. Gorbachev, take down that wall. No, we're not going to be doing that. Not today. So, next on the list for me is my big thing. Now, this is my favorite thing. This is why I really want to run for president. I think this is what is going to heal America, put Americans back to work, and fix our country from the bottom up. It is an infrastructure project. I call it Make America Green Again. And what we're going to do, we are going to rebuild America from the ground up. Everybody had their Empire State Buildings and their highway projects, and they got their stories telling their grandkids, I built that building, I built those highways. Well, when I'm done, 20 years from now, you're going to tell your grandkids how you rebuilt America from the ground up and made it almost like a Wakanda of sorts, where everything is technologically advanced, clean, and ready to go. I was actually inspired by a movie that came out with Mr. Will Smith called I, Robot. And I looked at all their highways and their buildings and how everything was technological. And I was like, man, this is what we need to do in America. And you know who can do it? You. You're going to build it. We're going to train you to do it. We're going to train you to maintain it. And that is going to make our lives easier as you go down the road. And I'll get into some of the deeper aspects of that later on. But as for right now, we want to use the Army Corps engineers to plan it, to manage it, to run it. We're going to have solar panels on all the buildings, revamping all the buildings for E-purposes, wind, solar, water, everything. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it right. We're going to redo our highways. We're going to rebuild our bridges. We're going to fix the entire American infrastructure, coast to coast, brick by brick, and we're going to do it together, hand over hand. And that is how we're going to put Americans back to work. I'll explain later where we're going to get the money and the resources. As you heard earlier, the tax situation, cutting back on certain situations, rechecking on some of the loopholes that a lot of people are getting away with that, you know, really the average American should get, not some billionaire. So we'll work on those also. So that's some of the way we're going to bring money back into the fray so we can use it for the infrastructure project. But as I get into my international policy and more about the military, I'll explain how this is where the money is going to come from to give us the chance we need. So next on that is education. Now, education is all over the place. The kids are not interested. They're very frustrated. And I used to work in an elementary school, Morrison Elementary. And one of the things we learned during our training when I was in the National School and Community Corps, which was AmeriCorps, started by Bill Clinton, props to him on that. Great program. I worked with the kids. And one of the things I learned is that there are actually 5 learning situations going on. 5 learning identities people have. Regular schools right now only really teach to 1 or 2 of them, maybe 3 when they wheel in the video machine and, you know, turn on the TV for you. But past that, they're really not teaching on all the aspects that our kids really have innately, especially now with the technology and the phones, and they're so fast and they've got so many things firing off. We really have to learn how to grasp our kids from an educational level in a multi-dimensional way to get them from all angles. And I really think that's going to increase what's going on in school, and that's something I want to revamp as far as education in America, and that's what I'll have my education specialists take care of. So, for that situation. Next, welfare. Another situation I think that really needs reform. As I was once again working in AmeriCorps, in the National School and Community Corps, which is now called EduWorks in Philadelphia. I worked at a school called Morrison Elementary, which is at 3rd and Duncannon. I worked there for 2 years. Did 2 summer camps where I had my own kids and also taught all the kids in school art, different classes, reading, and etc. So I got really close with a lot of the children. Why I bring it up in the welfare situation is I had a couple of students, and I had this one student that told me this something to me one day, and it really knocked me out my socks. Now, this was in the early 2000s. It is now 2019, and this is 2003, 2004. One day, I was giving the kids money. I had any kid that asked me for money while I was working at school, any little change in my pocket, I give them, here you go, here you go. I'm a sucker for kids. A kid could walk in here right now and ask me for money, and I'm gonna check my pocket. And if I got something, I'll give it to him. I'm a sucker for him. I'm a sucker for him. So, of course, I give them all my money. So one of my kids, they walk up to me, her name's Yesenia, and she's like, Mr. C, you know, can I have some money? And I say, oh, you know, Yesenia, I'm out of money. And she's like, well, why are you out of money, Mr. Carl? And I said, well, Yesenia, this job really doesn't pay me that much, and I've been giving away money all day, and I don't really have any more. And this girl is in the 3rd grade. She said to me, Mr. Carl, if you don't have any more money, why don't you just have more children? Because the city gives you more money for every kid you have. Now, this wonderful young lady in the 3rd grade, she actually had an aunt who was in the 2nd grade, who she used to look after all the time. Another sweetheart. These are my babies. But Yesenia had an aunt in the 2nd grade. And I went to that house. I met her parents. Wonderful ladies. But the mother was having kids just like the daughter. And then when one of the kids, they tell me something like this in the 3rd grade. The 3rd grade. I know that we are incentivizing childbirth with the way that the structure is set up now, and I think we need to change it and put some limits on it. Now, we don't want to cut everybody off. We still want to take care of everybody. And as far as healthcare goes, no matter what change I make across the board, welfare, healthcare is taking care of everybody. I don't care if you have 1,000 kids. We'll take care of their healthcare. Now, the part that I'm going to change, because I want to drive people to have an incentive to be, I guess, more careful with themselves, so they don't have more kids than they can afford. You know what I mean? These are adults. If you're a parent, you have 1 or 2 kids, you should be mature enough to decide whether you should have more or less kids after that. So what I'm going to do is by 2022, if you don't have more than 2 kids or at least pregnant with another child by January 1st, 2022, all resources for kids under welfare, except for healthcare, we will cover all healthcare, will be not accepted. 2 kids, no more. So your WIC and your food, after 2 kids, you don't get more. Your HUD housing, you don't get lower rent. You don't get a bigger house because you keep having more kids. If you have 2 kids, you get the house you get for 2. You have 2 kids, you get the food you get for 2. You get the wearable money you get for 2. You don't get anything extra. Every kid, you don't get another $100 on the card. You don't get another, no, we're not doing that anymore. It's incentivizing childbirth. I've seen it hand in hand. This was 15 years ago when I saw that. And it's been something that I've noticed my whole life, but when I got that, it confirmed to me. Right there, listening to Miss Young Yesenia. How you doing, Yesenia, sweetie? Back in Philly, what's up? She's probably a grown young lady right now, you know? But she told me that, and it really made me say, Carl, we have to fix welfare. So that's one of the things we're gonna work on and get some changes too. Now, next up as far as domestic goes is police. Now, my father was a police officer. I loved the police as a child. But when I got behind the wheel as a 16-year-old, 6'4" guy looking like me, let's just see, the cops weren't my best friends. Once I was behind the wheel, they seemed to not trust me anymore. I want to bring that back. I want to bring back community policing. I want to bring back the neighborhood. I want people to police the areas that they are from. Also, one of the things I want to add to the police partner scenario, no more just 2 gung-ho partners. We have 1 tactical guy. We need another person that is more mentally tactical as far as psychology, negotiation skills, being able to analyze and deal with people in a non-threatening way. So we can cut down on these crazy conflicts, so we can cut down on these crazy killings and people protesting because there's a misunderstanding, because the officer probably just simply wasn't trained to be able to deal with somebody who may have had a psychological issue or some other issue that potentially a psych partner would have handled. So one of the things we're going to start doing is in police academies and in all police training, and it's another job we're either going to add or have officers retrain for. We're going to send them back to training, full psychology training, full negotiation training, full everything. So when they're out there, there's always somebody in every conflict. And if we can't get it done early, what we're going to do, I think we're going to have almost like a managerial situation where there's at least 1 psych person for every certain area. So they're out in the car hanging out, they get called over. But I would prefer something more on hand, such as the partner being the psych evaluator, along with the tactical partner who is more of the military style controller. Because you definitely want to have some muscle on the team, but also the psych person will be trained in military tactics. So I think it'll be a really great tool to have and stop a lot of problems we have with the police at this time. So that's one of the things I want to fix. Now, the military is next on my list. Now, I don't know if you notice about our military. We have the largest military on the planet. It is bigger than the next 6 militaries combined. And those guys are all our allies. We don't need all that. That is ridiculous. The military uses, I believe, almost 60% of our budget. Our budget. Did you know, as a person, financial advisors tell you, don't make your car payment more than 1 week, don't make your rent payment more than 1 week. None of your large payments should be more than 1 week of your pay. And in America, we're using almost 2 to 3 weeks of pay. If you break it down, how much you pay in the budget and put it in a month scenario, 60% is 2 to 3 weeks of paychecks just for one thing. We're overspending. And that has to cut down. We're going to cut it down, downstream everything, streamline the entire military, and we don't want to get it to about 25% of the budget. That's my ideal scenario. I doubt we're going to war with all our allies anytime soon, and I don't think we need enough army to fight the entire planet at once. That puts the question of our policies in a manner. If you need an army that big, what are you doing that you need an army that big? And that's something that's going to change with Carl Anthony when I'm your president. So let's go for that. So That's the military situation. That's one of the ways we're going to bring some money back, cutting down, streamlining. So that's another thing that we're going to use to help bring money in to help with the infrastructure project, and also bring Army Corps engineers back here along with soldiers to help with that project, to manage and run it as we train and use regular Americans to build and do with the process, and of course contractors, independent contractors, and etc. So also, my last thing for domestic policy, big with me, really big with me, states' rights. Love states' rights. You still want to pass your national laws. I'm still going to pass my national changes, but on the same hand, I really respect state rights. I like the fact that I could go to one state and there's a different rule for this, or go to another state and there's a different rule for that, and they got something weird over here. I think that's the beauty of America. That's all America is. That's like the melting pot of America, that everybody has their different things that they need for where they are. And I appreciate that. So states' rights is something I'm going to be a big supporter of. If I vote something is legal, if they decide in that one state that it's not legal, well, you know what? I'm not going to stop them. They say it's illegal, then it's illegal. That's it. No discussion. States' rights is states' rights, and that's that. Now, federally, we won't prosecute you, but if you do something wrong in a state, and that's the law in their state, you just got to deal with it. My rule is, if you don't like the laws in your state, move, okay? That's how it works. There's 50 other states. If you don't like one, move to another one. We got jobs, we got America all over the place. So, that's the end of my domestic policy. So we're gonna move into international policy at this time. And it's gonna go a little quicker. Domestic, of course, a lot to fix at home. So the domestic policy and the international policy is what we're gonna talk about next. Now, internationally, I don't know if you guys have noticed, just like the Romans and the Persian Empire and other great empires in history, the one thing that always took them down is that they spread out too far, had their resources out too far, and then their core rotted away, because it was always pushing out resources too far, tentacles everywhere. And if you notice, we are like that. We're spread like this all over the world. And it's crushing America. That's why you see the streets, the homeless people in the streets, the crazy people, the violence, the school shootings. That's because we are not focusing our resources here, at home, right here. That's where we need to be. And that's what I'm going to do with our international situation. It's time to bring everything back home, bring resources back home, let the rest of the world live their life, and we'll help them out later. Because one thing I learned in this world, you can't help anybody else if you can't help yourself. And America needs to help themselves. They were saying America first. Well, I understand that. I do believe in America first. And that's one thing that we got to take care of. Let these other countries have their issues. We got to fix home. And then once we're all nice and together, we can go back out and help the world in a better way and show them an example of how you can basically build a wonderful, strong, economic power country that's built on respect. Capitalism, socialism, working together as friends to make something great. Because I'm not a socialist, but I'm not a capitalist either. I am both. And there's both elements. When used right, we can be extremely prosperous and build something great. Because don't get it wrong when it comes to international situations and military. You got to kick a little butt to have the Jordans and the cell phones and all these nice things. We're not the most powerful, best country in the history of the world because we were always nice. So sometimes you do have to be aggressive, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to cut it down and get it fixed. So international policy situation. One of the things I want to do once in is I wanted to have a diplomacy tour. Like before, they've done an apology tour and things like that. I don't know about all that apology stuff. It's more of a, can we fix it or we're out of here? That's it. I want to do a tour to all the major countries. I'll even go see Kim Jong-un. I'll go see anybody. I want to talk to every single leader out there that has a significant issue that we're dealing with around this world. And if I can't sort it out with them, we're out of here. Handle it yourself. We're out of here. For the next 10 and 20 years, I'm not playing. For the next 10 and 20 years, we're going to be like Switzerland. Okay? That's you guys' problem. We're over here fixing America. Don't bother us. And that's what we're going to do. America first. No more giving away our money while people starve here. We shouldn't be paying billions and millions of dollars over a place to shoot and kill and maintain other people in other countries when there are people dying right here in America. can't have it, won't stand for it. And that's one of the main points why I am running for president of these United States. So next up on my list, as far as policy goes, I want to reevaluate all our trade deals, all our embargo situations, all of our sanctions. We got to reevaluate all of that. We got to fix all that. Now, even though Donald Trump kind of fumbled the ball a bit with the trade deals and the tariffs and everything with the China and all the other groups, he was going in the right direction. I think he just mishandled it. As you know, Donnie is a hammer, not a glove. You get what I'm saying? He just, I see a hammer, I gotta nail it. Me, I'm more of a glove. Let's touch around and feel it. And that's what I wanna do as far as adjusting those, because there's no way in the world that you should be able to import something in America for cheaper than it is to make it here. No way. And one thing that is going to stop people making stuff cheaper and bringing it here. No way. It's going to cost you more to bring it here than it will to make it here. That way, factories will be made here. Factories will be built here. And that's what I want to do. Tariffs, sanctions, and also any embargoes. We got to fix all that. We got to clear. We got to rebuild relationships, reevaluate which ones are hurting us, which ones are helping us, and which ones can help us get better, as a country. So another thing that I want to talk about is redirecting resources. Now, all these things I mentioned to you, it's all about redirecting resources back into the country so we can use it for the infrastructure project, so we can use it for health care, so we can use it for the education fixes, so we can use it for all the things I want to change and get right for America. Cutting back on welfare is another thing that's going to help us with the resources. No, we're not going to kick anybody out. Now also, just to follow up on the welfare thing as I'm closing out right now, we're not going to kick anybody off welfare. If you have 10 kids and you're covered, so be it. You're grandfathered in. America is a corporation. We will work that way. Anytime there's a new rule, everybody beforehand is grandfathered in. So no matter what policy you hear from me, if it's a grandfathered in situation, you will not change. You will be fine. This is only for the future because we want America to be more responsible, more economical. We need to streamline, and this is why I'm running for these president of the United States. Very excited. So guys, that wraps it up. That's what it's all about. Make sure you write me in. I'm gonna have a lot of the links where you can donate to me. You can also always contact me at carlanthony4president@gmail.com, and that's Carlanthony:Number 4president in full president@gmail.com, or you can catch me at Tony2020:4Prez, PRES@gmail.com. That's Tony, TONY2020:4PRES@gmail.com if you want to contact me for any reason. As mentioned, there'll also be a GoFundMe link up because we definitely need donations for campaign purposes so I can advertise, promote, get petitions set, get ballots set, get people on the move, get my name out there so people can know who I am. Now, maybe or maybe not, we won't win. But I want to make some noise. I want to let them know that me and you have had enough of this two-party game, and it's time for us, the center of America. That's 60% of America. 60% of America is right here, guys. The other 20, they're out here. This is most of America. That's you, man. That's me. I want people that don't vote anymore to vote for me. I want people that haven't voted in years to vote for me. No more just trying to get the Democrats. No, I want everybody. I want everybody. And that's why I'm running as an independent for these presidents of the United States, Carl Lester Anthony Jr. for president. And I want to thank you for watching my video. Thank you for checking me out. Check out the links all below. Check out the links on the pages. Follow me. Let's go and let's make some noise for this presidential year coming up 2020. Carl Anthony for Prez. I love you guys. God bless America and God bless you.